Chapter 40 Auspicious. This is Auspicious. You are listening at novelfold.audio. As time passed, the belly of Mu Zixuan's 3 daughters became bigger and bigger, and soon the day of delivery came. Ever since the news came out from Beijun that King Bei was assassinated by Ziyula and then rescued by the mysterious master, Beijun suddenly became much more stable. This made some forces realize that the mysterious master beside King Bei might always follow and protect King Bei, although King Bei is a waste. The mysterious master beside King Bei is not a vegetarian, because of Emperor Xia's warning. The 8th prince did not continue to send people to assassinate Lu Chen. He just asked Wang Qingci to continue to monitor Lu Chen in Beijun and tell him immediately if he found out that the North King had contact with the Chu family. In the past few months, Lu Chen has not been busy dealing with Beijun's affairs. Beijun is still under the supervision of the county guard Li Rui. However, Lu Chen asked people to measure the land of the palace, and then asked the people to open up wasteland and plant all 10,000 kilograms of breeding potatoes. There are a lot of wastelands in Beijun, and not many people pay attention to the land surveying and wasteland reclamation by Beiwang Mansion these days. Lu Chen has been accompanying Mu Zixuan and the 3 of them at the palace. The 3 of them are about to give birth, so Lu Chen takes extra care of them, for fear that something will happen to them. At this time, Lu Chen gently stroked Mu Zixuan's bulging belly, and then said with a smile, "My dear concubine, please leave the palace's property to Aunt Chu for the time being, and then you can wait for the birth with peace of mind. Now, don't worry about those things for now." In the past few months, Mu Zixuan has expanded the soap industry and perfume industry hundreds of times. Now the entire Xia Dynasty, whether high-ranking officials or ordinary people, are using the perfume and soap produced by their palace. Although these 2 things are more profitable, because they are Beiwang's properties, and Mu Changtian is watching over Beiwang Mansion in the capital, no one dares to pursue these 2 industries yet. What Lu Chen didn't expect the most was that Mu Zixuan seemed to be a very business-minded person. She also combined perfume and soap to create a product like soap. Of course, this is not a simple combination. The soap has been modified and can be used for bathing. The palace has these industries and can earn hundreds of thousands of taels of silver every month. Mu Zixuan is also actively exploring business routes. She plans to sell these things to other countries. Unfortunately, as her belly grew bigger day by day, her energy became worse and worse, and she felt sleepy every day. Now she was completely unable to take care of the palace's property. After hearing what Lu Chen said, Mu Zixuan said, "Well, I have asked someone to transfer all the palace's accounts to Aunt Chu." Aunt Chu has been familiar with the palace's properties these days. Although Chu Yuqin can't be considered a member of the North Palace now, everyone in the palace trusts her and knows that sooner or later she will be Lu Chen's woman, leaving the palace's property to her. People were not worried at all about what would happen. At this moment, the maid Xiao entered the room and whispered, "Your Majesty, General Li is looking for you, saying that he has something important to do." Hearing this, Lu Chen stroked Mu Zixuan's cheek, and then said, "My dear concubine, I have to go out beforehand, please lie down well." Mu Zixuan smiled and said, "Well, Prince, go and do your work." Lu Chen immediately stood up and walked towards the martial arts training ground. After seeing Li Feng, before Li Feng could salute, Lu Chen asked, "General Li, what do you want from me?" Li Feng quickly replied, "Your Majesty, good news, the soil you asked us to plant, soil." Having said this, Li Feng thought for a moment, and then immediately said, "Oh, yes, potatoes. Those potatoes are ready for harvest." Hearing this, Lu Chen's eyes lit up. Potatoes are the most suitable crop to solve the food shortage in North County. This is also an agricultural product that Lu Chen values very much. Lu Chen immediately said, "Let's go take a look." As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Chen walked towards the gate of the palace. Lu Chen now wants to know how much they can harvest from these potatoes grown in North County. He was not an agricultural expert and could only plant according to the common people's planting methods in this world, so he felt very unsure. Soon, Lu Chen came to a field where potatoes were grown in Beiwang Mansion. At this time, there were already many soldiers and nearby people waiting here. The people nearby are interested in the new crops grown by Beiwang. Although Beiwang Mansion has never told the people what they are growing, it can be seen from the fact that Beiwang Mansion sends soldiers to patrol every day. These crops grown by Beiwang Mansion. It must be very important to Bai Wangfu. Seeing so many people nearby, Li Feng asked, Your Majesty, do we want to drive all these people away? After all, potatoes are considered a secret of Beiwang Mansion. If too many people know about it, many people may covet the potatoes of Beiwang Mansion. Lu Chen shook his head, and then said, If we drive them away, how can we promote potato cultivation in North County in the future? That he originally planned to let the people of Bei County plant potatoes. If he could not let the people see the yield of potatoes per acre, they would definitely not plant potatoes. If the Beiwang Mansion forces the people to plant crops they have never seen before, this may arouse public outrage. At this time, the people around saw that King Bei had come in person, so they started talking one after another. Look! Is that the prince? It's him, I saw him when he came to Yancheng. What are you growing in this land? Even King Bei came here in person. It is said to be edible food. Really or not, this is the first time I've heard of food buried under the earth. Just wait and see, they are probably planning to dig. We will know when they dig later. Lu Chen ignored the comments of the people. He glanced at the crowd, and then said to the soldier holding the hoe, First dig an acre of land and see how much the yield is. Lu Chen gave an order, and the soldiers began to dig up the soil. Soon, some irregular oval potatoes appeared in front of people's eyes. The people around were shocked when they saw so many potatoes under one plant. Are these really edible? Oh my God, there are so many under one plant. If everyone can eat it, won't there be no more famines in Bei County in the future? But will King Bei distribute the seeds of this plant to us people? Time passed by minute by second, and before long, all the potatoes in an acre of land were dug. Seeing the potatoes piled up like a hill, both the soldiers in Beijun and the people around them stared straight at them. After final weighing, 1 acre of potato yield was nearly 2,000 kilograms. When Li Feng saw this number, he couldn't believe it. There were 2,000 kilograms of potatoes in 1 acre of land. In this era, there are not even 200 kilograms of wheat per acre. Although he couldn't believe it, Li Feng couldn't help but not believe that all of this happened before his eyes. Li Feng then came to Lu Chen and was about to report the weighing situation. Lu Chen said directly to Li Feng, Generally, tell the common people loudly, what is the yield of potatoes per acre? Li Feng instantly understood what Lu Chen meant, so he said loudly, Report to the prince, after our weighing, the yield of potatoes per acre is 2,000 kilograms. Hearing this, the people around him instantly became excited. Oh my God! 2,000 kilograms! If there is so much food, we will never be afraid of starving in the future. Auspicious, this is auspicious. Chapter 41 The Birth of the First Child. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing the excited people, Lu Chen smiled. He believed that after seeing the potato yield, these people already had the idea of planting potatoes in their minds. Audience, after all, compared with potatoes, the yield of wheat is too low. At this time, Lu Chen opened his mouth and said to the people around him, Quiet down. After seeing King Bei's words, the people fell silent instantly. Their eyes looked directly at Lu Chen, as if hungry wolves had seen meat. They now want to know whether King Bei will distribute the seeds of this plant to the people. After seeing the crowd quiet down for an instant, Lu Chen said, The food you see is called potatoes, which can be used as a staple food. As for the yield, you have also seen it. I have decided to distribute some potatoes to the common people for trial planting, and the common people who try to grow potatoes will not need to pay agricultural taxes for 2 years. Hearing Lu Chen's words, the people became excited again. They didn't expect that King Bei actually planned to give them this magical food for trial planting, and he would also be exempted from 2 years of agricultural tax. At this time, some people couldn't help but kneel down and kowtow to Lu Chen. Seeing the excitement of the people, Lu Chen knew that the promotion of potatoes should not be a big problem. In a few years, if there are no natural or man-made disasters in Beijun, then there is a high probability that Beijun will not have such a serious food crisis now. At this moment, when Lu Chen was about to say something, the system prompt suddenly rang. Congratulations to the host for obtaining his first heir. He will receive a reward of 5,000 royal guards, 2 grandmaster level commanders, and a reward of weapon forging technology. The more descendants the host has, the more valuable the rewards will be, including but not limited to various modern technologies, factories, and even industrial production lines. Lu Chen was stunned when he heard the sudden system sound. He didn't expect that not long after he left the palace, he would have a child, but you don't need to think about it to know that it should be Mu Zixuan who gave birth. At this time, when he was about to return to the palace quickly, a guard from the palace rode on a horse and shouted excitedly, Your Majesty, the princess is about to give birth. Mrs. Chu wants you to go back quickly. After hearing this, Lu Chen said to Li Feng without hesitation, Generally, I will leave the rest to you. I want to go back and see the princess. Li Feng naturally knew the importance of the princess having an heir. Having an heir would mean that the North Palace would have a bloodline inheritance in the future. He immediately said, My lord, please go back with confidence. I will ask the soldiers to dig out the potatoes as soon as possible. Lu Chen didn't say anything more, he immediately got on the carriage. At the same time, a tavern in Yancheng, Beijing County, the tavern owner was standing at the front desk, tapping his abacus. Suddenly, his brain froze, and a stream of information poured into his mind. The tavern owner suddenly looked extremely shocked. He turned his head and looked in the direction of Beiwang Mansion with a look of disbelief. The tavern owner said to himself, It's him? No wonder. Looks like I'll be very busy in the future. Having said this, the tavern owner put down his calculations and began to change clothes. Almost at the same time, Beijing, the 8th prince's favorite restaurant, is also owned by the restaurant's owner. He was about to receive today's distinguished guests in person, when suddenly he froze on the spot, with a look of disbelief on his face. Then he murmured to himself, Your Highness, I'm afraid my mission is coming soon. It seems I have to prepare in advance. On the way back to the palace, Lu Chen opened the system and took a look at the reward he had just received. System, where are these 5,000 Geniwei now? What is their strength? Lu Chen also didn't expect that the reward he would receive after having an heir would be a group of people. He thought the system would reward him with a batch of modern arms. At this time, the system prompt sounds, These 5,000 Jinui are now distributed in various counties and counties of the Great Xia Dynasty. Their strength is at least 5th level, while the heads of the 4 major institutions and the 5,000 Jinui are all at the 9th level. In addition, the host obtained through the system all subordinates are 100% loyal and have implanted identities in this world. After hearing the system prompt, Lu Chen asked curiously, How did those people know that they were members of the Geniwei? This is the power of this system. The host can understand that this system has implanted a part of special memory into them, allowing the entire Jinui organization to keep running until their real master appears. Hearing the system's beep, Lu Chen couldn't help but sigh at the power of the system. All members of Jinui have received your personal information. Currently, there are 300 Jinui in North County, 1 for each 1,000 households, 1 commander, director of the criminal and prison department, director of the investigation department, layman factory commander, and expert factory commander. They are all in Yancheng, North County. They will rush to the palace as soon as possible to report the information to you. Does the host need to recall the Geniwei from outside North County? After seeing the system prompt, Lu Chen asked, Can I talk to them through the air? No, but the host has the authority to recall once. Lu Chen understood what the system meant. If he wanted to recall all the genie guards, then they would be able to receive the message from the system. This was the system's ability. But why did he recall all the royal guards? Isn't the role of the Geniwei just to monitor the officials and collect intelligence? If they are recalled, they will still be the Geniwei. Thinking of this, Lu Chen said, No need, let them stay where they are. The Geniwei outside North County has received the host's order to stay on standby. After Lu Chen returned to the palace, he quickly went to Mu Zixuan's delivery room. At this time, Mu Zixuan's face was pale, her whole body was covered in sweat, and she looked particularly weak. After seeing Lu Chen come back, Mu Zixuan tried hard to get up from the bed. Lu Chen quickly went over to support her and said, My beloved, you'd better lie down and rest. At this time, the midwife came to Lu Chen holding the child. Congratulations, Your Majesty, the princess has given you a son. Upon hearing this, Lu Chen immediately glanced at the child in the midwife's hands, and nervously took him into his hands. The newborn baby was very small and very ugly, but Lu Chen had no objection to it. After all, it was his own child. At this time, Chu Yuqin on the side reminded, "Chener, you haven't named your child yet. Give him a name now." Lu Chen thought for a while and then said, "Let's call him Lu Changfeng." Changfeng can be understood as continuous wind, symbolizing strength, vitality, and hope. Lu Chen hopes that his first child will grow up positively and achieve a great career in the future. After staying with Mu Zixuan in the delivery room for a while, Lu Chen left the delivery room and prepared to meet the upcoming commander of the genie guards. As soon as she walked out of the delivery room, Chu Yuqin asked, "Chener, what did you do just now?" Mu Zixuan was about to give birth, but Lu Chen was not in the palace, which meant that he must have something very important. Lu Chen replied, "The potatoes are ripe. I just went to see General Li and his friends digging potatoes." Hearing this, Chu Yuqin's eyes lit up, and then she asked, "Are they the kind of potatoes you gave us last time?" Chu Yuqin and other women in the inner courtyard of the palace have all seen potatoes and tasted them. After Chu Yuqin heard Lu Chen introduce potatoes, she realized the importance of potatoes to Beijun. Lu Chen nodded at this time. Chu Yuqin continued to ask, "How is the yield of those potatoes?" Lu Chen replied, "The yield per mu is 2,000 kilograms." Hearing this answer, Chu Yuqin froze on the spot. Although Lu Chen had told her that the potato yield would be very large, she did not expect it to be so large. If potatoes can be popularized, the people of Beijun may no longer have to go hungry in the future, and the prestige of Beiwang will rise rapidly. Seeing that Chu Yuqin seemed surprised by the potato yield, Lu Chen said mysteriously, "Aunt Chu, are you surprised now? There will be even more surprising things waiting for you later." As soon as Lu Chen finished speaking, a personal guard from the palace hurried over and said, "Your Majesty, Mrs. Chu, something bad has happened." A group of warriors wearing strange clothes came outside the palace. Recommend a book by a friend, about having many children and many blessings. Click Add Bookshelf to read it in the bookshelf. Apocalyptic crisis in ancient times. Fortunately, I have many children and blessings. Chapter 42 Crisis in Mu Guogong's Mansion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chu Yuqin frowned when she heard the guard's report. A warrior wearing fancy clothes? Who dares to come to Beiwang Mansion to cause trouble? Ever since the last assassination attempt on Lu Chen in the Blood Moon Tower failed, no one in the entire North County dared to provoke the North Prince's mansion. People know that there is a master in Beiwang Mansion, so they won't be so stupid. Someone actually came to your door today. Chu Yuqin then said to Lu Chen, "Chener, let me go take a look first." Lu Chen said, "Aunt Chu, I'll go with you." Chu Yuqin was about to say something, but when she thought of the mysterious weapon on Lu Chen's body and that Lu Chen was now a warrior, she had no words to dissuade him. Then they arrived at the gate of the palace. As soon as they came to the door, they saw what the guard said were warriors in strange costumes standing in rows and standing very respectfully at the door of the palace, with no intention of causing trouble. Lu Chen took a look at these genie wearing Feiyu uniforms and capes, but did not step forward immediately. When Chu Yuqin saw this scene, she was stunned. She just thought these people were here to make trouble, but looking at them, it didn't look like they were here to make trouble at all. Moreover, they were dressed uniformly, as if they were warriors from a certain institution of the imperial court. However, she has never heard of any institution wearing this kind of clothes in the Great Xia Dynasty. After feeling the state of these people, Chu Yuqin frowned and instantly became alert. The man standing at the front, judging from his aura, was definitely no longer inferior to her in strength, and the 5 people behind him are also 9th grade. As for the remaining 2 carts of warriors, almost all of them are 5th grade warriors or above. The last time Shuyu at Tower sent someone to assassinate Lu Chen, they didn't bring so many 5th level warriors. What are the origins of these people? What do they want to do when they come to the palace? The thing that worried Chu Yuqin the most was the man at the front. That man made Chu Yuqin feel a huge threat. She even doubted whether he was a grandmaster. Chu Yuqin was about to ask who they were when the leading man stepped forward, knelt down on one knee and said to Lu Chen, "Commander of the genie guards, please ask Qin Yushan to see the prince. My subordinate failed to report his duties to the prince as soon as possible. Please punish me." After Qin Yushan squatted down, the guards behind him also squatted down together. Seeing this scene, Chu Yuqin's face was filled with shock. She couldn't figure out when Tong Chen had so many powerful subordinates. You must know that Li Feng, who came to Beijing with Lu Chen, is now only at the 8th level, and Lu Chen actually had 5 9th grades, hundreds of 5th grades, and even a master whose strength was suspected to be more than a half-step master. Lu Chen then glanced at Qin Yushan and checked his personal information: name, Qin Yushan, identity, commander of the Genie Guards, shopkeeper of Beijing Yuelai Tavern. After learning that you were his master, he immediately summoned the Genie Guards from Yanqing to report his duties to you. Strength, Grandmaster, loyalty, 100. After reading Qin Yushan's personal information, Lu Chen glanced at the other Genie Guards and found that their loyalty was indeed 100. As the system said, the system was indeed powerful enough, and it was actually able to cultivate so many loyal subordinates for him in advance. Lu Chen then said, Commander Qin, get up, don't stand at the door of the palace, come in first. Having said this, Lu Chen turned around and walked towards the palace. Occasionally, people would pass by the gate of the palace. Seeing so many warriors at the gate of the palace, they might spread rumors everywhere. If there is anything else, let's wait until we enter the palace. Then Qin Yushan entered the palace with hundreds of subordinates. When they arrived at the martial arts training ground, Chu Yuqin asked curiously beside Lu Chen, Chinner, when did you train so many masters? Why doesn't Auntie know about it at all? That if she were just a master, she wouldn't know it was normal. But seeing these Genie Wei wearing the same kind of clothes, Chu Yuqin instantly understood that this was an organization. Lu Chen had already established an organization belonging to the palace, but she hadn't heard anything about it yet, which puzzled Chu Yuqin. Lu Chen smiled and said, Aunt Chu, there are still many things you don't know about me. Hearing this, Chu Yuqin rolled her eyes at Lu Chen, but when she thought that Lu Chen was a person destined to be immortal, Chu Yuqin felt relieved. Lu Chen stopped at this time, turned around and said to Qin Yushan, Commander Qin, please introduce the current situation of the Genie Guards. Yes, Your Majesty. There are currently 5,000 Genie Wei, distributed in various counties of the Great Xia Dynasty. Their strength is above the 5th level. There are 11 warriors above the 9th level, 2 of whom are Grand Masters, that is, subordinates and Liang Zong. Upon hearing Qin Yushan's introduction, Chu Yuqin was stunned. 5,000 warriors above level 5? Are they all Genie Wei? And there are 9 9th grade warriors and 2 grandmasters. Chinner has actually created such a huge force secretly. If there was such a force, then why did he pretend to be an uneducated waste when he was in the capital? Even if the princes in the capital have the support of various forces behind them, they are not like Lu Chen who directly controls a super force. With the support of this huge force, Lu Chen does not need to be afraid of those princes. If coupled with the support of the Chu family and the Jiangnan family, Lu Chen's position as prince is basically stable. Chu Yuqin was confused for a moment. She couldn't figure out what the purpose of Tong Chen's pretending to be trash was. Of course, she didn't know that Lu Chen had just obtained the Genie Wei, so it was normal for her not to understand. Lu Chen asked Qin Yushan to introduce Genie Wei purely to Chu Yuqin. Now that the introduction is over, it's time to get down to business. Commander Qin, please show me the information that Genie Wei has collected recently. After Lu Chen finished speaking, the Genie Wei soldiers behind Qin Yushan came to Lu Chen carrying several large boxes. Your Majesty, this is the information about the Great Xia Dynasty that Genie Wei has collected this year. Please take a look at it. Seeing the information in so many boxes, Lu Chen was stunned for a moment. He would definitely not be able to read it all today. Then he said to Qin Yushan, move this information to my study later. Commander Qin, and me. Wang, please tell me if anything has happened in the capital recently. Seeing Lu Chen asking about matters in the capital, Qin Yushan immediately replied, Your Majesty, my subordinate received a letter from a colleague in the capital yesterday. A major event has happened in the capital recently. After hearing this, Lu Chen and Chu Yuqin's expressions immediately became serious. Qin Yushan continued to report, the remnants of the Chen kingdom failed to assassinate His Majesty and fled the capital. Although His Majesty had sent people to search the entire capital, no trace of the assassins was found. In the end, His Majesty's shadow guards found out that they were generals from Duke Mu's mansion. Those assassins were sent out of the capital. Now the entire Duke Mu's mansion has been imprisoned and is awaiting trial. After hearing what Qin Yushan reported, Lu Chen's brain was stunned. He didn't expect that his cheap father-in-law would get into trouble again so soon. Chapter 43 Intelligence from the Capital. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When the Zhou family rebelled, Duke Mu's mansion was implicated once. That time Mu Changtian took out the Iron Scroll to save the entire Duke Mu's mansion. It had only been more than a year before something like this happened again in Mu Guogong's mansion. Lu Chen somewhat doubted whether his father-in-law was really that stupid. Even if he was really rebellious, he wouldn't have colluded with the remnants of the Qin kingdom again in such a short period of time. He is not a fool. Now Emperor Xia is in his prime, and his realm has broken through to the master realm. It will definitely not be a problem to live for more than 100 years. It would be so easy to assassinate Emperor Xia and overthrow the Xia dynasty. At this time, Chu Yuqin quickly said to Lu Qin, "Qin'er, Zixuan just gave birth to a child. She must not let her know about this." Although there is no such thing as postpartum depression in this era, people in this era also know that women are more emotionally sensitive after giving birth. If Mu Zixuan knew that the whole Mu family was imprisoned, it would probably affect her recovery. Lu Chen said, "Yes, I understand." Speaking of this, Lu Chen looked at Qin Yushan and asked, "Commander Qin, is my father injured in any way?" Qin Yushan replied, "Back to your majesty was not injured. It is said that when the remnants of the Qin kingdom assassinated your majesty, the imperial master was in front of your majesty." Hearing this, Lu Chen laughed, then he said, "Are these remnants of the Qin kingdom really so stupid? How dare they assassinate a grand master in front of a great master?" Although Situ Su has never said that he is a grand master, it is no secret that he is a grand master. After all, he was the pillar of the Great Xia Dynasty. Without the strength of the grand master, how could he be called the pillar of the country? When the remnants of the Qin kingdom assassinated Emperor Xia, did they really not do any homework at all? Lu Chen continued to ask, "How many assassins did the remnants of the Qin kingdom send to assassinate my father? What is the strength of these assassins?" Qin Yushan replied, "According to the intelligence collected by colleagues in the capital, the remnants of the Qin kingdom sent a total of 30 assassins to lurk into the palace. Most of these assassins are around the 6th level, and the strongest among them is half-step master. There are 2 half-step masters in total." After hearing Qin Yushan's report, Lu Chen didn't know how to complain. Send 30 assassins and 2 half-step masters to assassinate a grandmaster in a heavily guarded place like the palace. Moreover, they didn't ask beforehand whether there were any powerful people around the emperor. There was something wrong with the minds of these assassins. Lu Chen even doubted whether these remnants of the Qin kingdom were really remnants of the Qin kingdom. Lu Chen immediately asked, "Have Genie Wei investigated these remnants of the Qin kingdom? Are they really the remnants of the Qin kingdom?" Qin Yushan said, "Back to your lord." Commander Liang sent people to investigate and confirmed that the remnants of the Qin state had indeed entered the palace. However, after Commander Liang's investigation, I am afraid that the escape of the remnants of the Qin state from the capital has nothing to do with Duke Mu's mansion. Qin Yushan also knew what Lu Chen wanted to know, so he directly told Liang Zong's investigation. After hearing Qin Yushan's words, Lu Chen fell into silence. Emperor Xia first used the Zhou family's rebellion to make a fuss and took away the death-free Iron Scroll from Mu Guogong's mansion, then relieved Mu Changtian of his military power, and finally disbanded the Huban army and assigned the officers and soldiers of the Huban army to other military camps. Now he is using the remnants of the Qin kingdom to imprison the whole family of Duke Mu. His father is planning to get rid of the trouble and kill the donkey. Even if Lu Chen was a political novice, he basically understood what Emperor Xia wanted to do. Mu Changtian and Zhou Wangtian, who rebelled more than a year ago, are known as the 2 kings of the Great Xia Dynasty. Now that Zhou Wangtian has been destroyed, there is another Mu Changtian who is about to die. With the destruction of their 2 kings, Emperor Xia's control over the Great Xia Dynasty reached a level never seen before in the history of the Great Xia Dynasty. He took all the military power into his own hands. What was he planning to do? Seeing that Lu Chen didn't speak for a long time, Chu Yuqin sighed and said, "Chen'er, your father is probably planning to take action against the noble family. Hearing this, Lu Chen reacted, my father, the emperor, is trying every means to take back military power. He must have something to do. Otherwise, why would he risk destabilizing the country and go all out to take back military power? If you want to attack a noble family, you really need to have soldiers on hand. I didn't expect that my father would have such courage. Throughout the dynasties, not many emperors dared to attack aristocratic families casually. It is said that 1,000-year-old family, 100-year dynasty. Even if a dynasty is overthrown, those families will still exist, and it has become common for aristocratic families to monopolize the court. Lu Chen had to admire his father for being so motivated, but then again, his current situation is a bit embarrassing. First of all, his mother's family comes from the Chu family, the largest of the Jiangnan aristocratic families. Secondly, his princess is Mu Changtian's daughter. Lu Chen then looked at Qin Yushan and asked, has the court said what to do with my princess? Qin Yushan replied, this issue has been debated several times in the court. The 8th prince's faction believed that the princess should be brought back to the capital to deal with it together, while the eldest prince believed that the princess was already the prince's wife and should not continue to be regarded as Duke Mu. People from the government. Lu Chen said with a smile, I didn't expect that there would be people in the capital speaking for this good-for-nothing prince like me. At this moment, a royal soldier entered the martial arts training ground. Your Majesty, there is a warrior outside who claims to be Genie Wei, asking to see him. Having said this, the royal soldier glanced at the guards in royal robes on the martial arts training ground, and then continued, that man is wearing the same clothes as them. Lu Chen said directly, let him come in. Yes, Your Majesty. Afterwards, the royal soldiers entered the martial arts training ground with the later armored guard. When the Genie Wei soldier saw Lu Chen, he immediately knelt down and said, see you, Your Majesty. Lu Chen said, get up. Lu Chen originally thought that the genie guard had just arrived at the palace because of the long distance, but after the genie guard stood up, he immediately took out a bamboo tube from his waist and handed it to Lu Chen. Your Majesty, I have received a letter from the capital. The Duke of Mu is suspected of colluding with the remnants of the Chen state and has been exiled to the northwest by His Majesty. Lu Chen was a little surprised. He had just taken over Jinui and the Jinui intelligence agency was already in operation. Lu Chen immediately took the bamboo tube from the genie guard soldier, took out a piece of information from it, and read it carefully. Through the content of the intelligence, Lu Chen instantly understood that this was a routine exchange of information between Genie Wei, and it was not because the Genie Wei in the capital knew in advance that he, the Northern King, was their master. Seeing that Lu Chen's face was a little solemn, Chu Yuqin asked, Chener, what's wrong? Lu Chen replied. Commander Liang said in this intelligence that when Mu Guogong was exiled to the northwest, he would be assassinated by many forces. Now that Mu Guogong's skills have been abolished, he is just an ordinary person. Mu Guogong's mansion, the whole family will probably not be able to make it to the northwest. Chapter 44 Prince. Which prince? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Officials in ancient times were generally the most likely to get into trouble on their way to exile. The power in the hands of the exiled official is gone, and those who usually offend him are no longer afraid of him. Those enemies are likely to send murderers to kill the exiled official in retaliation. Moreover, the political opponents who are still in the court do not want these exiled people to eventually return to the court, and will try their best to kill the exiled officials. What's more, Mu Changtian was a general who once had a great reputation in the Huban army. Back then, Mu Changtian offended many people in order to help Emperor Xia fight for the throne. These people all want to kill Mu Changtian. Mu Changtian is now a tiger with his teeth pulled out, and his enemy will not let this opportunity pass him by. What Lu Chen is thinking now is whether to save his cheap father-in-law. With his current strength, if he wants to save him, it is not impossible. After all, he already has Genie Wei in his hands. Moreover, Mu Changtian was the father of his own princess, so it would not be good if he just refused to save her. After a long while, Lu Chen asked, if you are exiled to the northwest, it shouldn't be that far from Beijing, right? Qin Yushan replied, yes, Your Majesty. Lu Chen glanced at the information in his hand again, and then said, this information came here 4 days ago. I am afraid that Duke Mu's family is already on the way to be exiled. If I want to save their family, I don't know where to come. Not in time. Hearing Lu Chen's words, Qin Yushan immediately said, "Please rest assured, Your Majesty, I believe Commander Liang Zong should know what to do after learning that you are the master." If Liang Zong didn't know that his master was the king of the north, he would definitely not rescue Duke Mu's mansion, but since he already knows that the master of their Geniwei is King Bei, and Duke Mu is the father-in-law of King Bei, he will definitely take action to rescue Duke Mu's mansion as soon as possible, and then wait for the next order from King Bei. Lu Chen thought for a while, and now he could only hope that the commander of the Jinui, whom he had not met, would understand something. Then Lu Chen said to Qin Yushan, "Send a message to Commander Liang and ask him to rescue Mu Guogong's family and try to disguise them as dead, and then find a way to send them to Beijing." Qin Yushan clasped his fists and said, "Yes, Your Majesty." Lu Chen glanced at the heads of the 4 major Jinui organizations at this time, and then said, "Jinui cannot appear in public for the time being. Whatever you were doing before, you will continue to do what you will do next. Although the genie guards are nothing compared to the shadow guards of the Great Xia Dynasty, but as a prince on the border, with such a large and complete intelligence agency, this will obviously arouse suspicion from others. As a prince, he sent people to lurk in various counties of the Great Xia Dynasty to monitor officials and collect intelligence. What did he want to do? It's not obvious that they want to rebel. Lu Chen is not that stupid. Geniwei can just continue to hide in the dark. At the same time, Beijing, Heavenly Prison, a tall and powerful middle-aged man wearing a prison uniform was being tied to the prison frame. The man's hair was disheveled and his face looked very tired. After learning that he was about to be exiled, Mu Changtian couldn't help laughing. "Ha ha ha ha, ridiculous, really ridiculous. Lu Xingqiu, in order to save you, I risked my life and led 100 people deep into the enemy's territory to desperately bring you out. I also supported you with everything I had when you were fighting for the throne. Unexpectedly, I failed. Here's what happened today. The heart of an emperor has been indifferent since ancient times. Today I have seen it, that the cells next to Mu Changtian were incarcerated with family members of Duke Mu's mansion." After Mu Changtian finished speaking, a young man in prison clothes asked, "Dad, can we reach the northwest alive?" The young man who spoke was Mu Changtian's second son Mu Xingping, who was also Mu Zishuan's second brother. He had lived in Mu Guogong's mansion since he was a child and was relatively sensitive to politics, so he knew very well that his family's exile to the northwest was just an excuse. Emperor Xia would definitely not let them reach the northwest safely, even if Emperor Xia didn't kill them. The former enemies of Duke Mu's mansion would not let them survive safely. Now all the men in their family have lost their martial arts and are all ordinary people. If they are assassinated by warriors on the road, they have no ability to resist. After hearing what his second son said, Mu Changtian fell into silence, because he also knew that Emperor Xia would not see him reach the northwest alive, and his enemies would not let him continue to live. He and his family would die in the exile road. Emperor Xia did not kill them directly, but chose to exile their whole family. He was just afraid that others would say that he killed the hero, and that people would poke his spine. At this time, Mu Changtian's eldest son Mu Jingwu said, "Dad, my little sister won't be implicated, right? There is no doubt that these people are going to die." Mu Jingwu is only worried that his sister, who is married to King Bei, will also be implicated. Hearing this, Mu Changtian sighed and still did not speak. King Bei is just an uneducated waste, and his character is also relatively weak and incompetent. He heard that after King Bei went to Beijing, he raised many women in the palace and had fun every day. His daughters took care of the entire palace. Judging from the character of King Bei, even if the court did not deal with his daughter, King Bei might be afraid of the court's punishment and drive his daughter out of the palace or directly divorce his wife. After everyone in Duke Mu's palace died, Mu Zishuan would be helpless, and King Bei wouldn't have to worry about anyone causing trouble for him. When Mu Changtian thinks about his daughter's future situation, he feels hatred in his heart. He was really blind back then, so he chose to support Lu Xingqiu, a white-eyed wolf, to the throne. At this time, a jailer opened the cell where Mu Changtian was held alone. At this time, a man walked in and said to the jailer next to him, you go out first. I have a few words to speak to Mu. Okay, cell boss. Then the jailer left the cell, leaving only the man to the south of Mu Changtian. When the Mu family members in the next cell saw someone entering Mu Changtian's cell, they all looked towards Mu Changtian. Mu Changtian took a look at the man in front of him, chuckled and said, "Is it Lu Xingqiu who asked you to come?" That when the man was about to die, Mu Changtian no longer respected Emperor Xia so much that he directly called him by his name. Hearing this, the man just smiled, then he walked up to Mu Changtian and opened all the iron locks that locked Mu Changtian. Seeing this scene, the Mu family members were a little confused and didn't know why the cell leader did this. At this time, the prison head said, "Mr. Mu, please introduce yourself." The younger one's name is Zhao Hong, and he belongs to the prince. Hearing this, Mu Changtian was filled with doubts. Prince? That prince? Is there any prince who dares to send someone to contact him now? He was about to be exiled, and he didn't believe that those princes didn't know what his exile meant. If a prince came to contact him at this time, Emperor Xia would definitely be dissatisfied. By then, let alone being grounded, he might even lose his throne. After Mu Changtian was unchained, he moved his whole body. He was about to ask Zhao Hong which prince he was when he saw Zhao Hong took out 3 bottles and said, "These are 3 great rejuvenation pills. After taking them, they can restore 90% of the skill." Hearing this, Mu Changtian was stunned. Chapter 45 Chen Wanrong, I will plant love poison in him. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As a former master warrior, it was impossible for Mu Changtian not to know what the Great Return Pill was, but he had only heard of it before, never seen it before. It is rumored that the Great Return Pill can bring people back to life and completely restore a person's skills. Although the rumors are a bit exaggerated, it is definitely no problem to restore the power. There is a Great Return Pill in the palace. Mu Changtian looked at the 3 small porcelain bottles in Zhao Hong's hand in disbelief. After Mu Changtian was silent for a moment, he sneered and said, "I didn't expect that some people couldn't wait so quickly. They planned to attack me before we even left the capital. It's already this time. How could someone come to save them and give them a panacea like the Great Return Pill? Obviously, someone planned to attack them in advance and poison him with poison. What kind of bullshit is De Huan Dan? It's clearly poison." Mu Changtian then said, "Tell me, who sent you here? If it were Lu Xingqiu, I would rather die on the road than take the poison he gave me." Seeing that Mu Changtian seemed to have misunderstood what he meant, Zhao Hong said with a smile, "Mr. Mu, you have misunderstood. Those who want to kill you will not let you die in a prison. The Great Return Pill in the little one's hand is indeed real. As for which prince gave it to you, you will know it soon. If you still want to see your daughter, it is best to take the Great Return Pill immediately. Strive to regain full strength before being exiled." If Zhao Hong now said that the Great Return Pill was given to Mu Changtian by the Northern King, Mu Changtian would probably not believe it even more. After all, the image of the Northern King as a waste has been deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Hearing Zhao Hong mention his daughter, Mu Changtian was stunned for a moment. At this time, Mu Jingwu in the next cell said, "Dad, give it to me. I'll take it first. Even if it's poison, I accept it. We won't live for a few days anyway." Mu Changtian looked at the small porcelain bottle handmade by Zhao Hong again. After pondering for a moment, he finally grabbed the porcelain bottle from Zhao Hong's hand, then opened a bottle and threw the elixir inside into his mouth. Just when Mu Changtian was ready to face death, he found that his internal strength began to recover, and he suddenly felt extremely comfortable. Soon, he felt that his skills were back. Although he had not fully recovered, he now had the strength of a 9th-grade warrior. Mu Changtian looked at the 2 small porcelain bottles left in his hands in disbelief. Is this really the Great Return Pill? How can this be? The Great Returning Pill can only be found in the palace. Even the Great Master would covet this kind of elixir that could restore one's skill, let alone the Master. 1 pill is already extremely precious, but now the prison boss in front of me actually gave him 3 pills. If people knew that there were 3 Great Return Pills among the people, the whole capital would probably be in chaos. Such a precious pill was actually given by a prince? Etc. Mu Changtian seemed to have thought of something. the prison leader in front of him seemed to just say that this was a pill given to him by a certain prince, but he did not say that this prince was the child of Emperor Xia. There were quite a few princes in the Great Xia Dynasty, and it was not only the current prince who could be crowned king, but also a certain vassal prince. Is it possible that a feudal king wants to rebel, so he plans to win over him? Thinking of this, Mu Changtian instantly confirmed his thoughts. This must be the case, otherwise how could the other party be willing to use the Sanmei Dahuan Dan to help him and his two sons recover their skills? But having said that, even if the prince wanted to rebel, it didn't matter to him. Lu Xingqiu is just a white-eyed wolf, so what if he goes against him? Thinking of this, Mu Changtian immediately said to Zhao Hong, "Thank you very much. I will go back and tell your prince that no matter what he wants me to do, I, Mu Changtian, will accompany him." Having said this, Mu Changtian threw the two small porcelain bottles in his hands to Mu Jingwu and Mu Xingping in the next cell. After Mu Jingwu and Mu Xingping took the small porcelain bottle, they drank it without saying a word. When the two of them felt the power restored in their bodies, they also showed expressions of disbelief. This is actually not poison, but a real great return elixir. So, their father has also recovered his skills? If this is the case, they can resist a little bit on the way and avoid being massacred one-sidedly by others. As for whether they can reach the northwest alive, it just depends on fate, Zhao Hong said. Okay, Duke Mu, I will convey your words to the prince. I won't bother you little ones. Then Zhao Hong turned around and left the cell. After the cell was closed again, Mu Xingping immediately asked, "Dad, which prince is it that dares to give us the elixir at this time, and it is also the rumored great return elixir?" Mu Changtian was silent for a moment, and then said, "It seems that some vassal kings can't sit still, and want to take advantage of Lu Xingqiu to deal with the aristocratic family, and unite the aristocratic families to rebel against Lu Xingqiu." The aristocratic family had long known that Lu Xingqiu might take action against them, so they could not sit still and wait for death. The most likely possibility was that they would support a certain vassal king, and then overthrow Lu Xingqiu's rule and replace him with another person as emperor, just like how the aristocratic family helped Lu Xingqiu ascend to the throne. After hearing what Mu Changtian said, Mu Jingwu asked from the side, "Dad, what should we do?" Mu Changtian chuckled and said, "What should I do? I was the one who sent Lu Xingqiu to the throne. Since he has turned his back on me, don't blame me for pulling him down." Mu Changtian has already thought about it. If someone really wants to go against the grain, then he will definitely support that person. Obviously, these three great return pills are the sincerity of the other party, otherwise the other party would not be able to send such precious pills to them. I just don't know who that prince is. There were not many vassal kings in Daxia who had the ability to rebel. Although Daxia gave some princes great rights, Lu Xingqiu liked to add sand to those fiefdoms that had greater potential for development. If you really can't control it, just let the shadow guards take action to solve the possible disaster in advance. It's not like Lu Xingqiu has never done this kind of thing. Mu Changtian knew that a prince was killed by Lu Xingqiu's shadow guard. After that prince was killed by the shadow guard, the court also shifted all the responsibility to the feudal prince's fiefdom. According to his long history, he imprisoned the feudal king with the intention of treason. After thinking for a moment, Mu Changtian finally didn't expect that the vassal king would win over him, so he had to give up. Anyway, after he went out, he would know who was trying to win over him. At the same time, Xianyue Palace, in the gauze tent, filled with smoke, a woman in white plain clothes was sitting in front of the guqin, playing the guqin seriously. The woman was tall and graceful. At this time, the breeze blew, blowing the gauze in front of the door, revealing some of the woman's beautiful moon face. The beautiful woman Sai Shuangxingxue has no flaw in her beautiful face, and her snow-white face reveals a bit of coldness. She is like a goddess from the 9 heavens, a fairy descending to earth. At this time, a beautiful woman wearing purple clothes entered the room. The melodious sound of the piano stopped as the woman arrived, and the woman asked, "Aunt Lin, is something wrong?" The woman's voice was cool and gentle. The beautiful woman asked, "Palace master, do you really plan to go to Beijing?" After hearing this, Chen Wanrong stood up and slowly walked out of the gauze tent. At this time, her holy face came into view of the beautiful woman. Chen Wanrong said softly, "Only with the blood of Emperor Xia's children can the dragon spelling curse be made, and King Bei is the most accessible prince. Hearing this, the beautiful woman showed a slightly worried look on her face, but I heard that King Bei is a lecherous person. He keeps many maids in the mansion and spends all day having fun. If he takes a fancy to you, the woman did not continue. Chen Wanrong looked at the green mountains in the distance with an expressionless face, and said calmly, people are easy to control only when they have desires. I will plant a love poison in him, and then control him to help us complete the dragon subduing curse. Hearing this, the beautiful woman sighed, and then said, he is Chu Yu's child. If possible, I hope the palace master can save his life in the end. Chen Wanrong did not respond, but looked quietly into the distance. At this time, the breeze blew, causing her dress to sway. Chapter 46 Wang Qingci reports intelligence. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Chen had no idea that he had been targeted by the remnants of the Qin kingdom. With the arrival of the Genie Wei, he became much busier. Genie Wei brought him too much information, and he checked the accumulated information in the study every day these days. I have to say that Genie Wei's abilities are really strong. Without the supervision of his master at all, Genie Wei actually investigated all the old events of the Great Xia Dynasty, for example, how his mother died back then, and how Emperor Xia, who was promoted to the throne by a noble family, and the noble family, came to oppose each other step by step. At this time, Lu Chen was looking through Genie Wei's files, his brows furrowing as he flipped through them. According to Jinyui's archives, the woman Emperor Xia loved was killed by his mother. Emperor Xia hated his mother very much, and he was also hated by Emperor Xia. So much so that when he was born, Emperor Xia even wanted to, you must get rid of your own flesh and blood. As for why her mother wanted to kill Emperor Xia's favorite woman, it wasn't because of the troubles in the harem, such as the fight between queens and so on. Lu Chen was not interested in those things. What he was interested in now was how to return to the capital. Judging from Emperor Xia's attitude towards him, he might have to resort to rebellion if he wanted to return to the capital in this life. Any prince can participate in the fight for the right to inherit the throne, but he, the Northern King, has no chance of participating in the fight for the right to inherit the rightful son. It is absolutely impossible for Emperor Xia to allow him to return to the capital. If you want to go back, I'm afraid only corpses can go back. At this time, a charming voice sounded outside the door. My lord, are you there? I have something important to report. Hearing Wang Qingci's voice, Lu Chen put down the information in his hand and said, forget it, there are too many things to solve in a short while, let's take it slow. He still has plenty of time. Let's relax first. Come in. After Lu Chen finished speaking, Wang Qingci, wearing a red gauze, entered the study with gentle steps. Today, Wang Qingci has completely surrendered to Lu Chen. I don't know if it is because of the constant relationship with Lu Chen, but Wang Qingci has become more and more charming, almost to the point of coquettishness. Her small nose, soft red lips, slender waist, and body as white as jade, coupled with her warm body fragrance that always exudes, make people want to do something to her just by passing by her. What, if it weren't for the fact that Lu Chen was already a 9th-level warrior, I'm afraid he would still pounce on Wang Qingci when he saw him because of the influence of the dragon tiger pill. Of course, although Lu Chen has been able to control himself, Lu Chen will not give up cultivating a relationship with Wang Qingci just because he can control himself. During the period when Mu Zixuan and the other 3 were pregnant, Wang Qingci was basically taking care of him, and she would come to the palace almost every day. Compared to Mu Zixuan and the other 3, Lu Chen had a stronger impulse towards Wang Qingci. I don't know if it was because of Wang Qingci's status as the Oiran, but Lu Chen was very excited when he thought that Wang Qingci, the Oiran who was admired by thousands of people, was just a female slave of his. It has to be said that sometimes identity is also a complement to appearance. After Wang Qingci entered the study, she said softly, I have met the prince. Lu Chen glanced at Wang Qingci, then directly raised his hand to hold her beautiful hand, and pulled her down into his arms in an instant. Wang Qingci did not resist and immediately sat in Lu Chen's arms. In front of this man, she has no ability to resist and does not need to resist. She is his slave girl and he can do whatever he wants to her. Lu Chen asked, what do you want from me? Wang Qingci replied, Your Majesty, the 8th prince sent a letter to the new family, saying that the owner of the Blood Moon Tower plans to personally come to Beijing to ask the new family to collect recent events in the palace, especially to find out about the mysterious master in the palace. Hearing this, Lu Chen was stunned for a moment. Hasn't he, the 8th emperor brother, given up yet? He has been in Beijing for so long. Logically speaking, he should know that no one from the Chu family has any contact with him, so why would he still come to trouble him? While stroking Wang Qingci's body, Lu Chen asked, the owner of Blood Moon Tower should have the strength of a grandmaster, right? Is he here to assassinate me? Wang Qingci replied, the 8th prince did not tell the slave family. He just asked the slave family to report what the palace has been doing recently and whether there is any movement about the mysterious master. Lu Chen thought to himself that he, the 8th emperor brother, might not know that their father had already planned to take action against the Jiangnan family. At this time, he still wanted to get the support of the Chu family. Don't let him and the Chu family be abolished together. At this time, Wang Qingci suddenly thought of something, and then continued, by the way, Your Majesty, I also heard about something from the slave family. Lu Chen asked, what's the matter? The slave family heard that Duke Mu's family was exiled to the northwest. The intelligence agency of Yenyu Pavilion is also relatively strong, and Wang Qingci will soon be able to know what is happening in the capital. After she learned about the affairs of Duke Mu's mansion, she thought that the princess was also the daughter of Duke Mu. Lu Chen would be more concerned about this matter, so she took the initiative to bring it up. But after hearing this, Lu Chen immediately said, I already know about this. Wang Qingci then said, there is nothing wrong with the slave family. Having said this, Wang Qingci moved her body slightly, and she felt a little uncomfortable sitting there. At this time, Lu Chen said with a smile, no, you have one more thing. I just happened to be a little tired and wanted to relax. Hearing this, Wang Qingci glanced at Lu Chen resentfully, got up and leaned on the table to help Lu Chen sort out the scattered information on the table. The host cultivates a relationship with Wang Qingci once, the experience value of the qi refining technique is increased by 20, and the experience value of the rejuvenation hand is increased by 20. Congratulations to the host for breaking through the second level of the rejuvenation hand. After hearing the notification tone, Lu Chen glanced at Wang Qingci, who had collapsed into a ball, feeling a little confused. It is more difficult for warriors to get pregnant, and he knows this. However, since Mu Zixuan and the others became pregnant, Wang Qingci came to the palace almost every day, and Tiantiao cultivated a relationship with him. As a result, Wang Qingci still had no child. Although Wang Qingci is a 9th-level warrior, is it too difficult to get pregnant? This has been almost a year. Is there something wrong with Wang Qingci's health? Lu Chen would not think that there was something wrong with his body. After all, he was someone who had taken Dragon Tiger Pill and drank Dragon Phoenix Tea. It could only be that something was wrong with Wang Qingci's body. Lu Chen thought for a moment, then used his rejuvenating hand to check Wang Qingci's body. The rejuvenation hand has broken through to the second level. It is very easy for him to check whether a person's body has any hidden injuries or diseases. When he put his hand on Wang Qingci's belly, the situation inside Wang Qingci's body instantly appeared in his mind. Wang Qingci has no physical problems at all, just like a normal woman. This is a bit strange. There was obviously nothing wrong with my health, but it turned out that it was so difficult to get pregnant. Is it possible that the achievement is really because she is a 9th-grade warrior? Then wouldn't it be more difficult for me to get a beautiful woman pregnant in the future? At this moment, Wang Qingci suddenly said, my lord, when do you plan to eat your Aunt Chu? She has become more and more jealous recently, and she hates the slave family more and more. Hearing this, Lu Chen was startled, and then said with a smile, what do you mean? Do you think I will do something disrespectful to her? Wang Qingci said. As soon as the prince heard the word Aunt Chu, he became even more fierce. What do you need the slave family to think? Lu Chen chuckled, and then said, it seems that you still don't understand what a female slave is, and you dare to interfere in my affairs. I must educate you well today. Ah! Your Majesty, I realize my mistake. Well, good brother. Chapter 47 Lu Chen's Problem. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Wang Qingci left Lu Chen's study, her clothes were disheveled, her hair was disheveled, and her face was flushed. Times degree times that it wobbles when I walk. Just as she was walking out of the main courtyard, she happened to bump into Chu Yuqin, who was patrolling. Seeing Wang Qingci's appearance, Chu Yuqin knew that this foxy girl must have just gone to seduce her chinner. Chu Yuqin said angrily, "Miss Wang, I heard that the business of your Baihua building is very good. As the owner of Baihua building, why are you running to the Wang mansion every day when you are not watching from Baihua building?" Seeing Chu Yuqin's jealous look, Wang Qingci smiled knowingly. She knew very well why Chu Yuqin disliked her. Wasn't it because she served King Bei every day, which made her feel envious? Then Wang Qingci said, "Mrs. Chu, the princess and several ladies are pregnant, so only the slaves can serve the prince. You don't know how much pressure the prince is under. If the slaves don't come to serve the prince, how can you let Mrs. Chu help? Prince, please relax. If Mrs. Chu intends to help the prince relieve stress every day, then this slave will not come tomorrow." Upon hearing this, Chu Yuqin's expression changed drastically, and then a gust of wind blew out of her body, causing her dress to dance wildly. "Wang Qingci, you are just Chinner's slave girl. I advise you not to talk nonsense. Otherwise, even if I kill you, I believe Chinner won't say anything." Wang Qingci smiled sweetly, and then said, "Mrs. Chu, if you really want to kill the slave, and no longer have the slave to serve the prince, I'm afraid you will really have to serve the prince every day." Hearing this, Chu Yuqin was angry and ashamed, and a blush appeared on her face. Seeing that Wang Qingci was not afraid of her at all, Chu Yuqin was too lazy to continue. She turned around and walked towards the other side of the palace, saying as she walked, "It's just a tool used by Chinner to release evil thoughts. How can I be angry with a tool?" Hearing this, Wang Qingci was not angry. She was indeed just a tool, but as long as she could make King Bei like her as a tool. Looking at Chu Yuqin's plump figure, Wang Qingci raised the corners of her mouth slightly and whispered, Mrs. Chu, the prince's patience is limited, and you will be in his bed soon." Although Chu Yuqin has been trying to keep a distance from Lu Chen in the past 6 months, she is the leader of the inner court guards after all, and she is responsible for protecting Lu Chen's safety, so from time to time Chu Yuqin would encounter scenes where Lu Chen caught Wang Qingci tossing him. Wang Qingci knew very well that every time he saw Chu Yuqin, or mentioned Chu Yuqin in front of him, Lu Chen's whole body was filled with emotion. Her anger became even more intense, as if she had changed into a completely different person, becoming extremely crazy, and she was also unlucky. It's obvious that Lu Chen's desire for Chu Yuqin is growing day by day. Now he can still suppress his inner desire, but it won't necessarily be the case as time goes by. Maybe one day by accident, the two of them bumped into each other, but Chu Yuqin didn't run away and was eaten up and wiped clean. After Chu Yuqin's figure disappeared from sight, Wang Qingci turned around and continued to leave the yard, but as soon as she turned around, she saw Mu Zixuan again. After Mu Zixuan gave birth, she rested for a while. Now she has basically recovered and is able to get out of bed and walk. Unlike when facing Chu Yuqin, Wang Qingci still respected the princess Mu Zixuan very much. After seeing Mu Zixuan, Wang Qingci immediately said, "I have met the princess." Mu Zixuan smiled slightly, nodded and said, "Miss Wang, please get up." Mu Zixuan knew that Wang Qingci was Lu Chen's plaything, so she didn't care at all about Wang Qingci's frequent visits to the inner courtyard. This is the case in this era. Most mistresses don't care if their husbands have concubines or female slaves. The same is true for Mu Zixuan. Mu Zixuan asked at this time, "Is the prince inside?" Wang Qingci replied, "Your Majesty is in the study now." Mu Zixuan said, "Okay, Miss Wang, just go and do whatever you want. I will go and see the prince." Mu Zixuan now looks more and more like a princess, and her words and actions reveal the aura of a superior. Wang Qingci was about to leave when something suddenly occurred to her, and she immediately said, "By the way, princess, I have something to trouble the princess. I wonder if the princess is willing to listen." Hearing this, Mu Zixuan asked doubtfully, "What's the matter?" "Miss Wang, please tell me." Wang Qingci looked at the location of Lu Chen's study, and then said, "Princess, is it time for the prince to take a concubine? The princess will be like a slave and talk too much. Ever since Lu Chen's wife and concubine became pregnant, Wang Qingci had been serving Lu Chen every day. Even if she was a 9th-level warrior, she couldn't handle it. Now that Mu Zixuan has just given birth to a child, it is impossible for her to serve Lu Chen. Then she, a slave girl, will continue to serve Lu Chen. Although she was just a slave girl and it was not her responsibility to take concubines, she couldn't bear it anymore. She believed that Mu Zixuan was a relatively generous person and would not stop Lu Chen from taking concubines. Besides, the few wives and concubines that Bei King had were simply not enough to serve the Bei King. As a princess, Mu Zixuan could not always serve him. Don't give Lu Chen a concubine. Hearing Wang Qingci's words, Mu Zixuan reacted instantly. She knew that Wang Qingci must not be able to bear it anymore. Mu Zixuan thought in her heart that even a 9th-grade warrior could not bear it, and her husband's physique was too strong. When she married Lu Chen in the capital, she thought that Lu Chen was a young man whose body had been drained by drinking and sex, and that his body should be very weak. Now it seems. Mu Zixuan sighed, and then said, "Miss Wang, I will bring up the matter of the prince taking concubines, so you can go back without worry." Wang Qingci immediately thanked her and said, "Thank you very much, princess. Slave, please leave." Then Wang Qingci turned around and left the yard. At the same time, Lu Chen, who had just left the study, spotted Chu Yuqin who was blushing all over, so he immediately stopped her and said, "Aunt Chu, wait a moment, I have a question to ask you." Hearing this, Chu Yuqin immediately stopped. She turned to look at Lu Chen and asked doubtfully, "Chener, what do you want from me?" Lu Chen asked, "Aunt Chu, I remember that the higher the level of a warrior, the harder it is to get pregnant, right?" Chu Yuqin said, "That's right, what's wrong?" Chu Yuqin felt a little nervous. Why did Chener suddenly ask this question? Is he still planning on me? After all, she seemed to be the only female warrior who was close to Lu Chen in the inner courtyard of the palace. Lu Chen said at this time, "Wang Qing and I have had sex so many times, but she still hasn't gotten pregnant, but there is nothing wrong with her body. Even if the higher the level of a warrior, the harder it is to get pregnant, but it's not like half a year has passed and her body still hasn't responded at all, right?" Chu Yuqin was relieved when she heard Lu Chen talking about Wang Qingci. It turned out that he was talking about Wang Qingci, and she thought that Lu Chen was trying to trick her. Chu Yuqin smiled and then replied, "Chener, don't you know that warriors above the 5th level can use their internal power to expel some impurities from the body? Many warriors have been poisoned. As long as the poison is not very violent, they can use their internal power to expel it." Chapter 48 Then I'll trouble Aunt Chu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lu Chen was slightly stunned when he heard Chu Yuqin's answer, "Is that so?" He asked why Wang Qingci had no health problems, but after more than half a year, her stomach didn't react at all. Okay. This slave girl actually dared to expel the feelings she conveyed to her without authorization. Next time he sees her, he must give her a good deal and let her know how good he is as a master. This guy actually hid it from me for more than half a year. He even wondered for a while whether there was something wrong with his body, and it was her problem that he had been doing for a long time. Chu Yuqin reminded her at this time, "Chener, although Wang Qingci is a 9th-grade warrior, but her identity is the Oiran of Baihua Tower. If it's just for fun, there's no problem, but if you want to take her as your concubine, if you do, I'm afraid it will affect your reputation." Chu Yuqin did have some prejudices against Wang Qingci, but her reminder was not unreasonable. In this era, status is very important. Even if an Oiran becomes a good person or is bought back by a wealthy family, most of them cannot become concubines. What's more, Lu Chen is still a prince. If a prince takes an Oiran as his concubine, people will laugh at him if it is spread. Hearing Chu Yuqin's reminder, Lu Chen said with a smile, "Aunt Chu, don't you think taking her as my concubine can buy me more time to grow up?" Hearing Lu Chen's words, Chu Yuqin was stunned for a moment, and then asked, "You mean you want to continue to taint yourself, paralyze the court, and make the court think that you are still the good-for-nothing prince?" Lu Chen said, "These are troubled times. Although Beijun is not under the attention of the court, there are still many people staring at Beijun. My every move is particularly important." Chu Yuqin thought for a moment, sighed softly and said, "Chener, you have grown up now and have your own ideas. Just do whatever you want to do. If you have any trouble, you can talk to your aunt and I will persuade you. Your grandpa, let him help you." Hearing this, Lu Chen smiled and said, "Aunt Chu, I did encounter a problem recently." Chu Yuqin asked with concern, "What's the trouble?" Lu Chen replied, "When I was practicing martial arts recently, I always felt that there was a qi hovering in the dantian in my body. This made me feel very uncomfortable. How about you check it for me and see what's going on?" Hearing this, Chu Yuqin was stunned for a moment. When Lu Chen was young, she often checked Lu Chen's body, but now that Lu Chen is so old and has his own princess, it would be inappropriate for her to check him at this time. After all, we are adults, and there are differences between men and women. Chu Yuqin thought for a while and then said, "Chener, you are an adult now. It is not appropriate for my aunt to check your body again. I will ask General Li to check you later. He should be able to tell that it is something is wrong." After hearing this, Lu Chen said, "Aunt Chu, General Li is only an 8th level warrior, and he just broke through to the 8th level not long ago. He has no experience as you." Chu Yuqin then said, "Don't you still have genie guards? Commander Qin should still be in Yancheng. He is the master, let him check." Chu Yuqin said she had no intention of checking Lu Chen's body in person because she was afraid that there would be another close contact later. After hearing Chu Yuqin's words, Lu Chen sighed deeply, and then said, "Oh, I understand, Aunt Chu dislikes me." Chu Yuqin immediately said, "Chener, how can you say that? I am your aunt, how can I dislike you?" Lu Chen said, "You used to check my body when I was little, but now that I've grown up, you don't check me up anymore. Don't you dislike me?" Hearing this, a blush appeared on Chu Yuqin's face, and the blush even spread to her neck. Just as Chu Yuqin was about to say something, Lu Chen turned around and said, "Aunt Chu, forget it if you don't want to help me check. If something really happens, just die. You don't care about me anyway." Hearing this, Chu Yuqin's brain froze, and then she said angrily, "Chener, how can you talk about life and death at will?" After the words fell, Chu Yuqin raised her beautiful hand and grabbed Lu Chen's wrist. The corners of Lu Chen's mouth raised slightly, but his back was to Chu Yuqin, so Chu Yuqin couldn't see it. Lu Chen had already discovered that Chu Yuqin had been trying every means to avoid him recently. Of course, Lu Chen also understood why. Chu Yuqin was afraid of getting into trouble with her and eventually becoming his woman. After all, she is a relatively traditional woman and cannot accept this kind of thing for a while. After Chu Yuqin grabbed Lu Chen's wrist, she sighed and said, "Go to the room, I'll take a look at it for you and help you regulate your internal strength." Chu Yuqin had actually wanted to see how Lu Chen's body was doing for a long time. Although Lu Chen had a connection with the immortal, martial arts training was a personal matter after all, and no one knew whether something would go wrong. But when Chu Yuqin thought about what happened before, and she knew that Lu Chen, a little villain, had been coveting her body, she could only suppress her inner thoughts and never offered to help Lu Chen. "Look at the body." Seeing that Chu Yuqin agreed, Lu Chen immediately said, "Then I'll trouble Aunt Chu." Then the two came to the study room. After smelling a strange smell in the study, Chu Yuqin had a strange look on her face. "What does this smell like? Why does it smell so bad?" Although Chu Yuqin is already 28, almost 29, she has never been exposed to that kind of thing, so she still doesn't understand some things. Lu Chen said calmly, "This is the newly developed perfume of Wanfu." Chu Yuqin said in surprise, "Perfume? No one would buy a perfume with this smell, right?" At this point, Chu Yuqin also smelled the air, and then continued, "Is it possible that you were exposed to this kind of perfume, which caused your body to have problems while practicing martial arts?" Sometimes when martial arts training went wrong, it was often caused by the environment, so Chu Yuqin wondered whether the smell was too pungent, which caused her Chener to have some physical problems while practicing martial arts. Lu Chen said, "I don't know, maybe there is a reason for this." At this time, Chu Yuqin glanced at Lu Chen, blushed and said, "Take off your upper body clothes. I'll check the situation first." As soon as Chu Yuqin finished speaking, Lu Chen skillfully took off his upper body clothes. Seeing this scene, Chu Yuqin's face became hotter, as if she had a fever, and her ears were already red. As Lu Chen took off his upper body clothes, Lu Chen's strong body appeared in front of Chu Yuqin. Seeing Lu Chen's orderly 8-pack abs, Chu Yuqin was slightly stunned. When Lu Chen married Mu Zixuan, Chu Yuqin checked Lu Chen's body once. At that time, Lu Chen didn't have obvious abdominal muscles, just a small belly. Now that Lu Chen actually has such obvious muscles, Chu Yuqin feels a little incredible. Although she knew that Lu Chen was already a martial artist, she had never seen Lu Chen practice martial arts. A person who had not practiced martial arts had such strong muscles. Honestly, it's surprising. Chapter 49. Are you lying to your aunt? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Although the muscles on Lu Chen's body are obvious, they are not particularly exaggerated. Unlike those modern muscular men, Lu Chen's muscles were in perfect shape, and Chu Yuqin felt a little confused when she saw his figure. Chu Yuqin held back and said, "Chener, although you are already a martial artist, my aunt has never seen you practicing martial arts. Why is your body so strong?" Lu Chen smiled and replied, "Aunt Chu, who said I don't practice martial arts? Don't I practice martial arts every day these days?" Hearing this, Chu Yuqin asked doubtfully, "Then why didn't I see it?" Lu Chen said, "I usually practice martial arts in my room, and I need Wang Qingci's cooperation. It's normal that you didn't see it." Hearing this, Chu Yuqin instantly understood what Lu Chen meant. She rolled her eyes at Lu Chen and said, "You little rascal, are you practicing martial arts?" Lu Chen said shamelessly, "Aunt Chu, you don't understand. There are many ways to practice martial arts." Chu Yuqin snorted lightly and did not continue the topic with Lu Chen. "Chener, please tell me, you are uncomfortable in that position." After finishing her words, Chu Yuqin looked at Lu Chen's abdominal muscles seriously. At this time, Lu Chen grabbed Chu Yuqin's jade hand and placed it directly on his chest. "I get pain here from time to time, especially when I practice martial arts. It often hurts so much that I can't move." Seeing Lu Chen holding her hand, Chu Yuqin subconsciously wanted to break away, but after hearing Lu Chen's words, Chu Yuqin didn't take it to heart. She carefully sensed Lu Chen's situation. Now that she could transfer her internal energy to another person's body, she could easily detect symptoms in a person's body. After a while, Chu Yuqin said to herself, "Strange, there seems to be no problem." After hearing Chu Yuqin's words, Lu Chen said, "Aunt Chu, you must have felt wrong, right? How could there be no problem?" Speaking of this, Lu Chen suddenly thought of something, and then said with a surprised expression, "Hey, how strange. Aunt Chu, I don't know why, but after my dantian was touched by your hand, I didn't feel the burning pain anymore." Hearing this, Chu Yuqin glanced at Lu Chen suspiciously. "Is it true?" Lu Chen said, "How could I lie to you?" At this moment, Lu Chen looked at his chest and said, "Aunt Chu, look, there is something strange on my chest." Hearing this, Chu Yuqin's eyes instantly shifted from Lu Chen's face to Lu Chen's chest. At this time, she found that Lu Chen's chest was actually emitting green light. "What is this?" This was the first time Chu Yuqin saw this situation. At this time, Lu Chen continued, "It's so amazing, Aunt Chu, the gas accumulated in my dantian has gradually dissipated, and it seems that my internal energy has also been channeled." Chu Yuqin asked with confusion, "Really? But I didn't do anything." She just put her hand on Lu Chen's chest and then checked Lu Chen's body. She didn't help Lu Chen regulate his internal strength. In the end, Lu Chen's body healed on its own. Is there such a magical thing? Chu Yuqin couldn't understand the current situation. At this time, Lu Chen said deceitfully, "Aunt Chu, I understand what is going on." Hearing Lu Chen's words, Chu Yuqin quickly asked, "What's going on?" Lu Chen continued, "There is a special skill in the immortal magic I inherited. As long as a like-minded woman is with me, she can help me practice. Aunt Chu, you must have touched my body, so we indirectly had the conditions for dual cultivation. This made the chaotic energy in my body calm down and my internal energy became smoother." Chu Yuqin looked at Lu Chen suspiciously. "Chener, you're not lying to your aunt, are you? Why do I feel that the exercise you're talking about is like the Hehuan exercise of the demon cult?" Lu Chen asked seriously. "Aunt Chu, haven't you ever thought about how the demon cult's Hehuan Gong came from? The demon cult's Guogong is harmful to people, but the immortal method I inherited is good for both parties. And as you can see, you just touched my body and helped me stabilize my internal strength, and you didn't suffer anything. Harm. Speaking of this, Lu Chen looked at Chu Yuqin's beautiful eyes with piercing energy. I suspect that Guogong must be similar to the exercises I practice, but Guogong is incomplete, so it is harmful to people. And the skills on my body are complete, so there is no harm to both parties. Maybe someone stole the immortal skills back then, but what they stole was incomplete, so the demon sex Huan's skill was created. After hearing Lu Chen's nonsense, Chu Yuqin thought about it seriously and felt that it made sense. Then what should we do now? Chu Yuqin asked with a red face. Her hand was still on Lu Chen's chest, and because she was too close to Lu Chen, she now felt extremely restless. The masculine aura of Lu Chen's body constantly stimulated her and impacted her heart. If this continues, the same thing as before might happen again, Lu Chen said at this time. Aunt Chu, since you can stabilize my internal strength by touching me, then you should stay close to me for a while. Chu Yuqin thought for a moment and just put her hand against Chen's chest. As long as she didn't take the initiative to get closer, she should be fine. Thinking of this, Chu Yuqin sighed and said, okay, if you feel better, just tell your aunt. But at this moment, Lu Chen suddenly let out a wail, and with a sudden force on his hand, he held Chu Yuqin's hand and pressed it firmly against his chest. Seeing this scene, Chu Yuqin asked in panic, Chen, what's wrong with you? As soon as the words fell, Chu Yuqin's body subconsciously came to Lu Chen, and then she quickly supported him with her other hand. Lu Chen showed a painful expression and said, Aunt Chu, maybe there were too many impurities accumulated in my body when I was practicing martial arts, and I couldn't clear them out for a while. Chu Yuqin's rosy face instantly turned pale. Then what should we do now? Lu Chen said, Aunt Chu, if you hold me now, maybe you can use the special skills I practice to relieve the pain in my body. Hearing Lu Chen's words, Chu Yuqin hesitated. After all, Lu Chen has grown up and is no longer a child. It is definitely not okay for him to have such close contact with him, but seeing Lu Chen in such pain, Chu Yuqin couldn't bear it. Then Chu Yuqin bit her lips lightly and said, Chen, tell me if you feel better. At this point, Chu Yuqin took the initiative to hug Lu Chen's body. Lu Chen quickly controlled all his internal energy and stabilized his mind. He was already a 9th-grade warrior and almost lost control. She was worthy of a woman with a score of 97, then, the two of them hugged each other like this. After a while, Chu Yuqin felt something was wrong. Her body was getting hotter and hotter, and she was getting more and more restless. Chu Yuqin gritted her teeth and thought silently in her heart, this is Sister Yu's child, and she must not have any wrong thoughts. But the more she thought about it, the more panicked Chu Yuqin became. Gradually, Chu Yuqin's whole body softened. She was originally holding Lu Chen, but now it was Lu Chen holding her delicate body. Seeing Chu Yuqin's appearance, Lu Chen knew that Long Feng Tea was working. Lu Chen thought in his heart, my good Aunt Chu, I have let you hide from me for more than half a year, but you can't hide from me today. Just when he was thinking this, a voice suddenly came from outside the door. My lord, are you in there?